Hello everybody, Adam Monk here again from FourFourTwo, back with another Friday show where we usually preview an underdog that could win a certain game against a favourite, but of course it's the international break this weekend and England are playing Brazil, so there's no real favourite in that game and who really cares, it's a friendly. So I thought let's focus on an England player in particular and one that a lot of people are talking about. Now before I mention him, I made a video about 3-4 months ago on none other than Curtis Jones, and in that video I talked about how good he was at, keeping the ball, keeping a rhythm of the game, how important he is to Liverpool and why he should be in the England squad but also start games for them. However, it turns out I've now found someone far more younger and better and I've moved on. I don't know why I'm actually leaving this a cliffhanger. You've clearly read the title of the video. I'm talking about Kobbie Mainoo. So here is why I think he should be starting for England, not just in these friendlies, but in the European Championships for Gareth Southgate, in my humble opinion. So let's go. So first thing to address, we've all watched him play recently. We all can clearly see he's very good, but what the hell is he? Because there seems to be a debate first and foremost that he's both a 6 and an 8 and maybe even a 10. He's a box-to-box midfielder. He can screen a back line, dictate tempo. It's almost like he ticks every box and people are sort of watching him play for United and are profiling him in a different way, which is testament to his quality really, the fact that he doesn't have a defined identity or position on the pitch yet. Now just to compare him to my old pal Curtis Jones, who I've definitely moved on from by the way, on the surface, this isn't actually great reading for Kobbie Mainoo. He's the floor's being wiped by Curtis Jones here in regards to so many stats. The passes that lead to goal per 90, the expected build-up per 90, and the XG chain per 90, which is on the left-hand side there, which is the total XG of every possession that Curtis Jones and Kobbie Mainoo have had per 90 minutes. So it basically just means that Curtis Jones is also more creative than Kobbie Mainoo right now. So maybe you're thinking Kobbie Mainoo's crap, but you would be wrong, sir or Mrs, because he plays for Manchester United, not Liverpool, and Liverpool are a team that have played with a structured system under Jurgen Klopp for many years, have better players factually, particularly better attackers, so his creative output and his output on the ball, Curtis Jones, is obviously going to be better, and Manchester United aren't exactly a team that you would say play with any real structure or identity at the moment. Bruno Fernandes, for instance, was at centre-back against Liverpool in the FA Cup game last weekend, and Anthony was at left-back at points. And I'm not saying that's a consistent at Man United, but that was a Hail Mary from Erik ten Hag. But as Erik ten Hag often says,
we stick to the plan. You have to stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. You have to stick to the plan.
So in short, it's actually expected that Kobbie Mainoo's midfield counterparts at England, who play for better performing teams at the moment, are going to have better stats in terms of possession on the ball. But Mainoo still does have some standout stats that separate him above from the rest and really highlight what his qualities are. Here you can see that per 90 this season for shots blocked, Kobbie Mainoo's actually in the top 90% of players in the top 5 leagues, and leading it, which was actually quite surprising to me, is his teammate Casemiro. But it goes to show that Kobbie Mainoo's very, very adept at screening a backline and, has defensive acumen to his game. This one right here, though, was the one that was most impressive to me. He's actually in the top 99% of players in Europe for successful take-ons that then lead to a goal. So in the top 99% at his age. So if you consider those two stats, the fact he's in the top 90% for blocking shots in his own final third in Europe, and then in the top 99% for successful take-ons that lead to a goal, whether that be his or his teammate's goal, that paints a picture that he's a jack of all trades and could be Gareth Southgate's final piece in the whatever jigsaw he's creating. I really think he could. If you look at this England setup now, Calvin Phillips has stopped playing football and Jordan Henderson has also kind of stopped playing football. He hasn't, but he's just not very good anymore and he plays in Holland and no one really cares about him. So it leaves a vacancy. You have Declan Rice, you have Jude Bellingham. They are dead certains to start in the midfield for England, but then there's this sort of missing piece man in the middle, and it could be Conor Gallagher, it could be Curtis Jones, or it could be Kobbie Mainoo. Now look, I know what people are going to say, this is the European Championships, the stakes are high, playing an 18-year-old is a huge, huge risk, and I would tend to agree usually, but listen, I'm a Man City fan, and I've got biases towards certain players, I'll admit that, but sometimes players are so good that you have to say what you see, and in the last few weeks from what I've seen of Kobbie Mainoo, I think he ticks so many boxes that he's just simply too good for Southgate to ignore. So I'm going to show some clips and screenshots now that really showcase different attributes of his game that make him the jack of all trades, like I've mentioned, and that certainly, in my opinion anyway, put him above Conor Gallagher, you know, Curtis Jones, maybe Trent Alexander-Arnold as that third midfielder in the pecking order for England. So yeah, let's just look at some clips of him. Composure's the first thing you'll notice about him. Look at these tight spaces. What's so impressive about this is it's almost like sometimes when he's in these tight spaces, he thinks quicker than anyone on the pitch and can get himself out of any tight situation, but he also combines that with having a bit of a Spanish pause, you might say, where he takes that second on the ball when players are pressing him, and he manages to beat the press with a pass or a nutmeg. He does it time and time again. And it's on another level for an 18-year-old. Now, the next thing is his dribbling prowess. Now, by the way, I was actually in Krakow in Poland earlier this week, and side note, I have liver poisoning. But in Krakow, I was watching the United-Liverpool game, and there was one moment of this game which I'm about to show you. Now, you probably already know what it is, which is what's prompting me to make this video, because my jaw was almost on the floor. This dribble here, I mean, the two-touch control with both feet, it was almost like Ronaldinho-esque. I'm not even joking. Like, the ability to switch from left to right so proficiently was just absolutely unbelievable. In a game of this stature as well, a game which was being played at such high intensity, he almost looked like a winger at times in this game. Then you go on to his passing range, and I mean, he ticks that box as well, playing pings over the top to Rashford from the 6th position. As well as knowing when to not play that pass and just keep things simple and almost dictate the tempo like a bit of a regista, he ticks both of those boxes. His tackling's another element of his game, these sort of hook tackles from behind the man, which probably then feeds into his shots block stat that I talked about earlier because of his breaking up of play and his positional awareness and knowing when to go to ground and commit. And then importantly as well, his ability to drive from deep and score goals for himself or assist his teammates. You've seen this goal against Wolves from a few months ago, but this was really when people started talking about him, and this goal in the 90th minute of the game was, again, just from another planet, I have to admit it. So when you ask what do you want in a midfielder, well, composure, dribbling prowess, the passing range, the ability to tackle, the ability to drive forward and score goals. He's showcased that he can do all of this at the highest level at 18 years old in the last 3 months. It is honestly one of the most ridiculous starts to a career of a youngster that I can remember seeing in my lifetime, and I don't say that lightly. So take him, Gareth. Well, you are for this international break, but take him to the Euros. So what I would do if I was Gareth Southgate in the waistcoat is I'd play Rice, Mainoo and Bellingham up there, but then I'd do something else, which brings me on to my next point, which is going to unlock Bellingham and free him to sort of play that second striker role that he does for Real Madrid. But Mainoo needs to play, I feel, so let me talk about that. Now, don't shoot me, this is roughly the team that I would play at the Euros. And what I would do with this team is what happens at Manchester City. Now, you'll be very aware from watching Pep's team over the last year that John Stones likes to invert and play in central defensive midfield, and him and Kyle Walker kind of have this synergy where when John Stones marauds forward, they will form a back three and Kyle Walker will kind of go into this centre-half / right-back role. Side note, which isn't much about Mainoo, but if you played Levi Colwill in the traditional left-back role or that kind of Nathan Ake position, this could form a nice back three with Maguire, Colwill and Walker when England are in possession of the ball. You'll then notice this has created a box midfield of Mainoo, Rice, Stones and Bellingham, which, oh my god, that just sounds sexy to say. What this then does by having this box midfield is ease up the defensive duties of Jude Bellingham, allowing him to maraud and not kind of play the tip of a diamond per se, because I know Madrid set up slightly differently in midfield, but play in the same pockets of space and arrive in the box at the same time as he does at Real Madrid, and kind of just play that same role and have him facilitated in the same way. And having that midfield three then, or four, of John Stones, Declan Rice, Kobbie Mainoo, you've got everything you need there in that midfield to then just say to Jude Bellingham, you know what, son, have a go and do what you do at Madrid and score loads of goals. So I think that in return as well, by playing Mainoo and allowing Stones to move forward, will give England a massive, massive chance of winning the Euros, because then ahead of him you've got Harry Kane and Saka and Foden. Oh my god, we should be winning it. Honestly, we should be winning it. That is not delusion. Everyone's been saying England's best shot of winning the Euros is to give Jude Bellingham the keys as much as possible, so give him the keys. Play Mainoo, Rice, Stones, and let them guard the house while Bellingham's out with the keys, like loyal dogs. What am I on about? Now look, do I trust Gareth Southgate to go ahead with this? Well, to answer that question for you, as a Manchester City fan, I hope he becomes Manchester United manager. No, I don't trust him. I still think Henderson, to be honest, will inexplicably be added to the Euro 2024 squad in the same way David Cameron was inexplicably made Foreign Secretary last year after years of doing nothing. It's pretty much the same thing. Henderson will find his way in that team. But look, in the same breath 20 years ago, Michael Owen and Wayne Rooney were 18 when they broke through at England, and I truly believe that Kobbie Mainoo is of a similar level to those guys. You can say what you like about Man United at the moment, but they are still an elite club, and there's a lot of expectation and pressure and weight when that badge is on your shirt. And in a relatively bad season for Man United amidst total chaos and disorganisation and no synergy between the players, Mainoo has been their standout player and a calming influence in that team, despite being the youngest player who's consistently playing. So that speaks volumes, in my opinion, of him as a player. And look, if he's good enough, he's ready. And we've seen this so many times. I mean, look at Palmer, for instance. I know he's 3 years older, but he was a bit part player at Manchester City and then goes to Chelsea and lights it up like that. Some players have just got it in them, and I'm convinced Kobbie Mainoo does. So take him, Gareth, and give him the chance. Anyway, guys, that is me done waxing lyrical about a Manchester United player for a long time, I hope. But yeah, you have to say what you see. Play this team, and I promise you, England will cook.
Beans. Everyone likes beans.
I can't serve baked beans.
Beans are pasta sauce.
Beans are not pasta sauce.
They're tomato-y.
Ketchup is tomato-y. That's not a pasta sauce.
It is when I make pasta. What the hell are you doing?
I'm picking the beans out.
With your disgusting human fingers?
Mashed. I can mash them. Right, we're getting somewhere.
What are you doing?
I'm improvising.
Good. It's like, whose pasta is it anyway? Yeah?
How old are these?
I don't know. They're always good. Eggs, aren't they? Till they hatch.
Are they?
Don't forget to subscribe though, guys. I've been Adam Monk. Enjoy the weekend as much as you can. It's an international break and no one cares. Club football back next week though, so yeah, that's something to look forward to. Anyway, yeah, see you soon. Goodbye.